My lightning talk is called, "This is what a feminist looks like. 4 small ways you can make our community better." Advance warning, this is in place as an angry talk because I'm an angry man. I'll also be doing a lot of reading from slides, which I don't normally do. But it's important here because I want you to really hear the voices of people that matter. Before I start, I want to address 2 questions you probably have. Why here? And why now? Why should this British guy come here and lecture me when San Francisco is clearly one of the most progressive places in the world? Well, in the UK, you may have heard of this thing called Brexit. It triggered a massive swing towards conservative values from 40 years ago. The party called the UK Independence Party, they have an actual elected politician who said these words: "Women do not have the ambition to go right to the top because something gets in the way. It's called a baby." Elected. And I believe somewhere near here there's some sort of election as well, so you have your own problems to think about. And even though this is San Francisco, there are still companies around here that think discrimination can be left on an epic scale to run rampant. Hashtag delete Uber. Second question, why me? I'm a straight white male. What right do I have to be here? Well, the title of this talk, "This is what a feminist looks like," comes from the t-shirt I'm wearing. It's a Force Society campaign for women in the UK and around the world. You can see the same shirt, or similar shirts, being worn by the likes of Joe Gordon-Levitt, or Eddie Redmayne, or Simon Pegg, or Joss Whedon, or Benadryl Pumpkin Patch. Even Jamie Lannister wears these shirts, okay? It's for all of us. Feminism is for all of us. And second, even though things have improved, we still have a very long way to go. 9 out of 10 of these women reviewed here experience sexism at offsites. That is crazy. That should be embarrassing to all of us. Rachel said, "If tech culture is going to change, everyone needs to change, especially men, and most especially leaders." Now you're here, forward Swift, you want to know what's coming next. You are the thought leaders of Swift. And most of you here are male. So I'm talking to you. You need to change. I need to change. We need to change. Everyone needs to change. We need to get better at this. This tweet here is very telling. During the Uber crisis a few weeks ago, is your timeline blowing up with women, non-binaries, and others sharing stories about their own Uber-like experience? Do you want to stop? Do something about it. Call out bad behavior loudly every time you see it. So I am angry. I am calling out bad behavior, and I'm doing it loudly. And I'm not alone. This was last month here in the city. Lots of people are angry for good reasons. And the fourth reason why me, and this is the most selfish of all, but it exists, I have 2 girls. All of my future happiness depends on these 2 being treated like equals when they grow up. You don't have to have daughters or sisters, of course you don't. But it affects me personally, it affects all of us. It matters. So let's dive in. 4 small things you can do to be part of the change. First, stop pretending it's a meritocracy. It really is not. Julia Carey-Wrong wrote an article for The Guardian about some really shocking research just from last year. She wrote this: "Women's work was more likely to be accepted than men's, unless their gender is identifiable, in which case it's lower rate than men." And that was on GitHub, pull requests on GitHub. So women who could not be identified as women would have higher acceptance rates than men until they're realized as a woman, and it becomes lower. That's pathetic. And of course, it's only been 3 years ago that GitHub itself was in the limelight for being awful. They've got better, slightly. Jacob Kaplan-Moss, one of the core devs at Django, visited PyLadies. And he said, "It's great to see so many badass women programmers." And this lady, Lynn Root, who set up the group here in the city, said something hugely important in response. "We'll know we've been successful when we have a whole bunch of average women developers." This lady, Dr. Dale Spender, 30 years ago did some research in Australian universities and found that men consider conversations equal when women talk for just 15% of the time. I think women dominate at 30% of the time. More recent research has found exactly the same thing. It literally has not changed in 30 years. And so comics like this are sort of funny and sad at the same time, because we all know it's true. And we'll see people who we sort of try to respect, or used to respect at least, like here, Marcus Persson, aka Notch. They try and fight against the term mansplaining. Sexist. But they're completely ignorant of their privilege until someone points it out to them. Actually, I just realized where the term hysteria comes from. Bad example. If you weren't aware, hysteria comes from hostera, a Greek word which means uterus. The Greeks thought a wandering womb caused anxiety and mental illness. Even 100 years ago, this was being diagnosed in this country, in my own country. Number 2, reconsider your hiring practices. Ursula Mead runs a company called In Her Sight. They asked 15,000 women to rate what mattered most. And it was not ample maternity leave. It was not mentorship programs. Now, these are important. I want to see awesome maternity leave everywhere. I want to see mentorship programs everywhere. What they said, they want paid time off. They want flexibility. They want a competitive salary. They want exactly the same things men want. And flexibility, of course, affects men too. Men often care for children nowadays, which is great, but it disproportionately affects women. I suppose awesome question on Twitter. What turns you off job descriptions? What invites you? And I had lots of great answers. For example, this one. I'm attracted when a job description talks about opportunities to improve and collaborate. Now, fortunately, you don't have to guess what words are good and what words are bad, or what words are safe or just coded in every way. There's been tons of research on words that are masculine coded and feminine coded, words that literally put women off or put men off and vice versa. For example, the masculine coded words, here are some of them: aggressive, champion, confident, stubborn, superior. These are masculine coded words. There is actual science on this. But sadly, some people did not get the memo. This is Christina speaking here. She is a mobile beast, apparently. Beast? But hiring alone isn't enough. What's your retention rate? If you can have as many as you like, brilliant. Do they stay more than 6 months, more than a year? If you don't know, find out. You can just talk to your HR department and ask them. A second Uber horror story came out just a few days ago, written under the pseudonym Amy Vertino. You know, they really appreciate my guts to come forward, but it's the first complaint. It's really easy to think this doesn't happen at your company because your company's good, your company's nice, it doesn't happen there. But that just is not the case. Please remember, this is still happening to many of your friends. And so, take some action. Talk to your HR team, talk to your CTO, talk to your CEO, make it clear complaints are serious. They must be addressed quickly, they must be addressed fully. Number 3, make education welcoming for all. We go to conferences like this one, we want to learn, but sadly, some are just not welcoming or even safe. Now, Forward Swift, I believe, is pretty awesome, actually. I think they deserve our respect and thanks for being so good at this. They've done a really good job. But not everyone's like that. And so, if you're asked to speak at an event, or if you want to attend an event, take a moment to ask, do you have a code of conduct I can read? Just check it out, make sure it's normal and good. And don't be afraid to challenge conference organizers if there aren't enough women speakers, because it can be bad. This was like a few weeks ago, I think, this one here. You will, of course, get some pushback from men, but ignore that. Continue. This is important and worth fighting for. You can also volunteer to teach. This is my daughter's school. I volunteer there every week. I teach 14, 10, and 11-year-old girls Python. It's great fun, and it's just watching them enjoy Python and getting into coding is amazing. There's a common misconception that orgs like Girls Who Code only want female instructors. No, they don't. They'd love to have you. You can get involved and help teach the next generation of women coders. Please do. Finally, and most easily, check your social media. I'll show you this already. Is it blowing up women and MBs and so forth? I want to show you a reply. If your answer isn't yes, you're not following enough people in tech who are women, NBs, disabled, people of color, and more, you need to look at your timeline and think, can I really say I'm listening to the voices of women or the concerns of women if 90% of the people I follow are men? Are you maybe part of the problem? Does all your people in your timeline look just like you? Now, I can really recommend a few people, these people I follow. And I really enjoy following them. That's great. And a few of them are here today, which is great. I wrote this talk to amplify the women I admire. If you want suggestions, there you go. So again, this talk is called, This is What Feminists Look Like, 4 Small Ways You Can Make Our Community Better. And I've called it that for one reason. If you want to hear some big ways how to make our community better, here is what you do. Ask a woman. Thank you.